let's get into my top 20 favorite Fougere fragrances, part 2, right now. Don't go away. So welcome back, everyone. So let's get into my favorite fragrances from the Fougere family, part 2. But before we do that, if you guys haven't already, please click the subscribe button to be subscribed to the channel and the bell to be notified of any future videos, content, and giveaways. So in my last video, I went through the top 20 through 10 of my favorite Fougere fragrances, and this part 2, we'll be going through number 9 through number 1 with 2 honorable mentions. So let's just get into it. So the first honorable mention is going to come from the house of Xerjoff, one of my absolute favorite houses from the Casamorati collection, and this is Mefisto Gentiluomo. So why is this one an honorable mention and not in the top 10 or official list? Oh, man, I love this one, I really do. I love it, it's so fantastic, it's really great. It's just there's others that I love more. People have kind of described and compared this one to Creed's Silver Mountain Water. I definitely see the resemblance. I think there's a similar overall scent profile that people get from the top notes, but this one goes in a much different direction. This one is, in my opinion, much better blended and goes in a barbershop Fougere direction. This one I love. It really has like a bright citrus opening. Lavender, lemon, grapefruit. You get all of those, but you also get like a creamy, somewhat powdery iris. It's not like a makeup bag or a lipsticky iris, but it's a very soft iris. Oh, yeah, I love it. And then as it dries down, you get kind of an amber, cedar, and musk combination. But for me, it means very classical and in a very barbershop Fougere direction. My only gripe with this one is its performance. I wish it performed better, but for what it's worth, I still love it. So that is Mefisto Gentiluomo from the house of Xerjoff. That is the first honorable mention. So the second honorable mention is coming from a house that I really adore. This one isn't talked about enough from the house. It's something that I think should deserve more praise. This is coming from the house of Nichane as a second honorable mention, and this is Nichane B612. So why is B612 an honorable mention and not in the top list again? Well, this one I really love, but there are others that I love more, and I just found this one to not be one that I reach for very often in terms of Fougeres, although I totally adore it. Oh, yeah, this one is warm, it's spicy, it's definitely aromatic, and it definitely has a classical feel to it, but it goes in a kind of a spicy, woodsy direction. You get the lavender right off the top, you get geranium, you get some of the cinnamon that is in the heart that kind of wraps this fragrance around in a kind of a spicy, aromatic accord, but as it dries down, oh man, you get tonka bean, you get cashmere, which gives it a kind of a creamy, warm, woodsy base that I absolutely love. The longevity is excellent. I get over 8 hours, and I definitely get about 2 hours off skin, but then it gets a little bit close to the skin after that. This one is very dressy and very sophisticated. It's very elegant. I think it can be worn dressed up or dressed down, but I think this is more of a dressed up fragrance. This is an absolute stunner, so if you don't own this one and you want to get your nose in it, definitely do. That is Nichane B612. So let's get into the actual official list. At the number 9 spot, this is coming from the house of Tom Ford, which is a kind of a designer and I guess designer luxury, if you want to call it that, if it kind of straddles that fence. This one is one that I really, really love. I fell in love with this one at Nordstrom, I believe several years ago. I was out stiffing and one of the sales associates pointed me to this direction and said, we have a new release from the house of Tom Ford, check it out, and I totally fell in love with this one. This one is Beau de Jour from Tom Ford. So Beau de Jour is a very, very classical and very vintage kind of Fougere, but with a very modern twist to it. It's very wearable. I think men can wear this one and women can wear this one. Definitely men over the age of, let's say, early 20s and up can wear this one. It's a very sophisticated and a very elegant fragrance. I love this one. This has lavender and lavandin in the, I think I'm saying it right, lavandin in the top. And if you don't know, lavandin is a kind of a hybrid of lavender. It's more warm and a little bit more woodsy than lavender. Lavender is more floral and more sweet. And then you get that tonka bean, you get some of that oak moss. Oh, you get sandalwood, you get a little bit of, I think, a little bit of vetiver, but I'm not sure if that's listed in the notes. I get sort of an earthy green accord from this one. Oh, I love it, it's really awesome. This one is a very green and very herbaceous fougere, but it definitely leans classical. I love this one. And the longevity is excellent. I get easily 8 to 10 hours, if not longer. It's such a stunning fragrance, and honestly one of the best releases from the house at Tom Ford. So that's number 9. Number 8 is coming from a house that I don't love anymore. It's one that I kind of fell out of love with, several years ago. This is one that I don't think gets enough hype from the house, and it's one of my only favorites from the house anymore. This is coming from the house of Creed, and this one is Bois de Portugal. So Bois de Portugal for me wasn't a fragrance that I loved. This was a fragrance that I had first smelled over, I think, in Neiman Marcus or Nordstrom several years ago, like 4 or 5 years ago. And it wasn't one that I thought was, wow, this is phenomenal, I have to buy this one right now. It was, oh, it smells kind of like an old man, or this kind of smells like, like my grandpa. And I wasn't a big fan of Fougeres at that time. I was more about the Aventus and then the Bleu de Chanels and all those other kinds of mass appealing fragrances. And several years later, I had kind of started getting into Fougeres, and I re-smelled this one, I forget where, and I totally fell in love with this one. It is so stunning. I love this one. Oh, yeah, you get lavender right off the bat. You get that creamy sandalwood. You get some cedar in there. You get the ambergris, which Creed does very well. They get ambergris right. They definitely do. You get the vetiver. You get that earthy green vetiver accord. I absolutely adore this one. This one for me is in the easily the best one from the House of Creed, far surpassing Aventus and Green Irish Tweed and Royal Oud. I think this one is by far the best one from the house. Longevity is excellent, at least in this particular batch. I don't know which batch this is, so don't ask me. I don't really care what batch this is. But this one is really, really an awesome performer. I get easily 10 hours, if not more, on skin. I just want to spray this one. I haven't smelled it in a while. It's so classic, it's so classical, but still modern. I mean, this is still so wearable. It's so excellent. I love this. Oh, man, this is awesome. So that's number 8, Creed Bois de Portugal. So number 7 is coming from a house that I really, really love and adore, I cherish. This is one that isn't talked about enough from this particular house. I think this one deserves more praise and more hype. This is one that I picked up several years ago at Twisted Lily in Brooklyn, and I just fell in love with this one. This is coming from the house of Maison Francis Kurkdijan. This is Masculin Pluriel. So Masculin Pluriel, to me, Jesus, it's so good. It's so good. This is one of the most perfectly executed, perfectly blended barbershop Fougere fragrances I have ever smelled and probably will ever smell. It is one of the most clean, sophisticated, most photorealistic versions of actual barbershop shaving cream I have ever smelled. It literally, imagine yourself sitting in a barbershop chair and the barber is kind of lathering and putting on warm, very high class, sophisticated shaving cream on your face or shaving foam, and you can smell those aromatics, you can smell that clean shaving soap. I mean, that's just what this smells like. It is so exquisite. Lavender, cedar, you get some leather, some patchouli in there, perhaps a little bit of musk. And then there's definitely some woodsy accords as it dries down, but for me it's all the lavender and those woodsy accords. I love this one. Longevity on me is pretty good. I get about 6 to 8 hours, and then it becomes close to the skin, but this one is so classy. Definitely versatile, but I think this is much more suited for a sophisticated kind of an event. But again, definitely office versatile, date versatile. This one can be worn in all kinds of events. Wear it on a date, wear it at a nice wedding, wear it at a nice dinner. Definitely can be worn in those times. So that is number 7, Masculin Pluriel. Coming to the number 6 spot, this one is one that I think is easily one of the best fragrances, period, in my collection. I think this one is a fragrance that is talked about pretty often from Fougere lovers, but this one is a fragrance that, for me, is top 10 in my fragrance collection overall. The reason it's not at the number 1 spot or number 2 or 3 is just because I love other Fougeres more, but this one comes from the house of MDCI, and this one is Invasion Barbare. And I love this bottle, it's really cool, this little tassel, I think it's pretty awesome. So what is MDCI Invasion Barbare? Oh man, this is such a freaking awesome fougere. This is very vintage, but also very wearable and still very modern. It's not old smelling, it is quite modern, but what this one does that other fougeres don't is, I think, a very warm, spicy, woodsy, but also very classic oriental / aromatic fougere. This is an expertly blended fougere to me. It's so awesome. You get grapefruit, you get lime, you get or lemon, you get violet leaf, you get some patchouli, which gives it a little bit of that greenness or that earthiness. You get thyme and cardamom and ginger. For me, those aromatics are what jump at me the most. The thyme, the ginger, the cardamom. You get some tonka bean in the base, but that is, really what I think jumps out at my skin. And it is such an outstanding classic fougere. Longevity is really pretty good. I get at least 8 hours, if not more. It's very sophisticated and it's very elegant. I love this one. That is MDCI Invasion Barbare. So at the number 5 spot, this one was really hard to do. This is one that I absolutely love completely. I smell this one, I think I smell this one at Oswald in New York City. If you guys haven't been to Oswald in New York City, definitely check that place out. They have awesome customer service. You'll love chatting with Josie over there. She's really knowledgeable and fantastic. And this is one that I smelled over there and I really fell in love with it. This is coming from a house that I really adore. I don't have too many fragrances from the house anymore, but these are the ones that I kept. This is coming from the house of Amouage, and this is Bracken Man. And look at that bottle. That bottle is so cool. It's very telling. It has a fern leaf on here, so you know what it's trying to accomplish. So this is definitely a fougere. The reason I love Bracken Man so much is because it's a different fougere. It's a very, very spicy, very warm fougere. It's almost like you're opening up a spice cabinet. Oh my God. This is so exquisite. It's so good. It is so good. Yeah, those citruses are definitely what draw you in. The bergamot, the lemon, you get some of that thyme and lavender, but what really grabs me are those spices, that clove, that nutmeg, that just jumps out at you and it just pulls you in. If you love spices, especially in fougères, you can't not go wrong with Bracken Man, and you can't beat it. It's just so excellent. Yeah, you get some warmness from the cinnamon, you get some patchouli, you get a little bit of sandalwood, and I think this one is an outstanding fougere, and also one of the most long-lasting. I get easily 10 to 12 hours, if not more, especially if I spray on clothing. It then lasts all day and then throughout the next several days. I love this one. That's number 5, Amouage Bracken Man. So at the number 4 spot, now we're actually getting close to the top 3. At the number 4 spot, this is coming from my favorite house and my favorite perfumer. If you watched my videos before, if you've seen my other videos, you know which one this is. This is coming from the house of Roja Dove. This one I just picked up this year and I fell in love with it. I was absolutely smitten. This is coming from their Harrods exclusive collection, and this is Harrods Parfum Pour Homme. So Harrods Parfum Pour Homme to me is easily one of the best fougères ever created. It is so fantastic. Lemon, lime, bergamot, grapefruit, you get some of the aromatics, you get tonka bean, you get oak moss, you get cashmere, and you get some juniper, you get vanilla, you get amber, you get all of those things, but really for me it's a very classically inspired and very just gentlemanly fougere with those bright citruses in the top, some of those woodsy accords that wrap around this fragrance that give it a very nice, subtle, dry down, but also very creamy. I think it's so expertly blended and so well executed that it's hard to beat. I think this one is definitely one, if you don't have it in your collection and you love fougères, definitely try this one. This is one that I think should be worn dressed up, but you can wear it dressed down, of course. It's your money, it's your fragrance, just do with it as you please. But this is one that I really love. This is Harrods Parfum Pour Homme from Roja Dove at the number 4 spot. So number 3, now we're getting the top 3. This is one that I really, I mean, when you talk about falling in love with a fragrance at first sniff, this was truly love at first sniff. I had smelled this one over at Oswald again, as I frequent pretty often. And this one I smelled, I had told Josie I was a Fougere fan. At the time I started becoming much more into Fougeres, and I told her I loved Fougere fragrances and if she can recommend some to me. So she brought me over to the Roja Dove section and she pointed out Scandal from Roja Dove. So Scandal from Roja Dove is one that, I don't know, I have a hard time putting into words because it's just that exquisite. This one takes my breath away every time. If you aren't blown away by fragrances that you love, and if they don't make you speechless, or you have a hard time finding words, then it's not really truly, you know, taking your breath away, because it should. Let me spray this one, because I haven't sprayed in a while. This one is so exquisite. What you get here is those bright citruses that Roja does very well. The lemon, the lime, the bergamot, the grapefruit, but you get some of that kind of that woodsy heart, that you get those woods in the heart there. Yeah, you get some cashmere, which I think gives it a kind of a woodsy feel. Sandalwood, you get vetiver, you get amber, you get musk, you get some florals in here. You know, you get violet leaf, jasmine. I definitely get the jasmine in here. You know, you get lily of the valley. You get so many other notes that Roja puts into his fragrances, and they're so expertly blended that you really can't pick them out one by one, but you can pick out certain ones. For me, this is an expertly blended Fougere. It leans classical, but also very, very wearable, extremely wearable. In fact, I think this can be worn by anyone. This is one that can be worn dressed up or dressed down, but I think truly to really pull this one off and to kind of convey a sense of sophistication, to convey a sense of elegance, this should be worn in a more sophisticated occasion. I absolutely love this one. It's so awesome. Longevity is easily 8 to 10 hours on skin. This is the extrait version, by the way, so if you don't own the extrait and you own the Parfum Cologne version, that's perfectly fine. The Parfum Cologne version is a little bit more bright and a little more effervescent in the opening. What I like doing is I like spraying the Parfum with the extrait first on all sides of my neck, on all 4 sides, and then the Parfum Cologne version. So it adds a bit of a layer of complexity, it kind of heightens the overall scent profile, and I get better longevity. So that is at the number 3 spot, that is Scandal Parfum pour Homme. So what is at the number 2 spot? Well, this one was hard to put into the number 2 spot because it's something that I love so much. It could easily be number 1, but there is one other fragrance that I love more than this one. This is a fragrance that I didn't love immediately at first, but then when I came back to it like 1 or 2 more times, I was totally blown away. Sometimes fragrances do that to you. You smell them, you dismiss them, or you go, oh, that's okay. And then you smell it again or a few more times, and then like bam, all of a sudden you're totally head over heels for it, and it just happens that way. And that was how it happened for me. This one is a stunner. This is coming from, again, from the house of Roja Dove, and this one is Danger pour Homme. So Danger pour Homme, and this is again the extrait version, is an Oriental Chypre, but it definitely leans to me as an aromatic woodsy Fougere. You get bergamot, you get some tarragon in here, you get, I think, a little bit of cumin, you get ambergris, you get vetiver, you get definitely tonka bean and vanilla, you get so many other fragrances, but for me the vanilla and the woodsy accords really enhance this fragrance and give it a very warm, sensual, but very luxurious feel. That is what I get from this fragrance as it dries down. Obviously, as it opens up, I get a very spicy but very effervescent opening. Let me just spray this one on. I haven't actually sprayed this one in a while either. I love this one so much. I love this one so damn much. I'm also picking up a little bit, on my skin I'm getting a little bit of florals, like lily of the valley, maybe some jasmine in here. I get a slight rhubarb accord, which I think gives it a little bit of a sharpness and some more depth. But this one is an excellent Fougere, very sophisticated, very classy, very masculine, but also You know, women can wear this one. All these fragrances are unisex. They can be worn by men and women. You wear what you want when you want. But for me, this was a very masculine leaning fragrance. Oh, I love this one so much. Longevity, if I haven't mentioned, is excellent. I get easily 10 plus hours. I also layer this one with the Parfum Cologne, and with that being done, I actually get over 10 hours. I get between 12 and 10, or 10 and 12 hours, plus with excellent sillage. And where I wear this one is definitely a more classy occasion. I don't usually wear Danger dressed down. It just smells too elegant for me. It's so damn good. If you haven't gotten your nose on Danger, definitely do it, guys. It is one of the best fragrances in my collection and easily one of the best Fougeres. So, what is the number one fragrance? What is the number one Fougere fragrance in my collection? Which one did I put at the number one spot? This one was pretty easy because this is one of my favorite fragrances of all time. I struggled between this one and Danger, but I did pick this one up in the number one spot. This one is one of my favorite fragrances of all time, but it also reminds me a lot of my dad, and it has a special place in my heart. This one is one that when I first smelled it, I was like literally not even smitten. I was like, I have to have this one right now. Just give it to me, I need it in my collection. This is gonna come from the house of Tom Ford again, and this is Italian Cypress. So unfortunately, Italian Cypress is discontinued. It's no longer available. You can find it on eBay or maybe discounters, maybe a Facebook group if someone's selling it. But other than that, it's pretty hard to find. This is the original bottle or the vintage bottle. I believe they put out like a reserve collection a while ago, but that one was a limited release. This one is literally one of the best smelling fragrances I have ever smelled, period. It just does something for me. You ever have a fragrance that you smell and each time it just like ignites your soul? That's this one for me. I love it. I love it. I love it so much. I love it so much. Speechless yet again, guys. Twice in one video. It's so phenomenal. It's so phenomenal. What I love about this one is it's very aromatic. It's very spicy with the basil, but what you get is those woods, and you definitely get that cypress right away, and that lasts throughout the life of this fragrance. You got a very piney, very green, very sort of herbaceous cypress note that I absolutely love. But the combination of the basil and the mint is what I truly adore, combined with the support of that cypress and those woods that really give it a kind of a sort of creamy, woodsy feel. I think it's so fantastic. Longevity on this one is outstanding. I get 10 to 12 hours plus easily. If I spray my clothing, it lasts throughout the next day. I wish Tom Ford didn't discontinue it. Tom Ford, if you're watching this, which I know you're not, please bring this one back. Please bring this one back. It is so fantastic. So that is my part 2 of my favorite Fougere video, guys. Let me know down below in the comments if you've tried any of these, if you own them, which one of these in the list was your favorite, and if you own them, which one of these have you put in the order of your top 10. If you haven't smelled these, which one do you want to get your nose on the most? So as always, guys, thank you so much for watching my video and supporting my channel. I really appreciate it. As always, stay safe and take care of each other. Bye, guys.